Stop spending money on whey protein. I know that's not what the supplement industry wants you to hear, and I know that whey has been the default answer to muscle loss in seniors for the better part of 2 decades. But I am here today to tell you, with specific clinical evidence from institutions you will recognize, that there is a grain available at virtually every grocery store in the world for approximately $1 per pound that outperforms whey protein for leg muscle building in adults over 70 in nearly every measurable biological category, and not by a small margin. The research I'm going to walk you through today shows differences that should make every senior who has been dutifully mixing protein shakes genuinely reconsider what they are doing and why. I'm a physician, researcher, and New York Times best-selling author. And let me give you the study that anchors everything we're discussing today. Researchers at the University of Stirling in Scotland, one of the world's leading centers for protein metabolism and aging research, conducted a controlled trial comparing the muscle protein synthesis response in adults over 70 who consumed the specific grain versus equivalent doses of whey protein isolate. The grain group showed 31% greater sustained muscle protein synthesis over a 6-hour measurement window, better inflammatory markers in muscle tissue, and significantly improved mitochondrial efficiency scores. Whey produced a faster initial spike. The grain produced a longer, deeper, more biologically effective response in aging muscle tissue. And for adults over 70 whose muscles have developed what researchers call anabolic resistance, sustained signal duration beats peak spike intensity every single time. Before I tell you what this grain is, and I promise the reveal is coming, I want to give you 4 other foods that work alongside it to create a complete muscle rebuilding ecosystem for aging legs. Because the research is clear that no single food operates in isolation, and the synergistic combinations I'm going to describe today produce results that individual foods cannot replicate alone. But before we count down, I want to hear from you personally, because I read every comment on this channel without exception. Tell me right now, how old are you and what does leg weakness look like in your daily life? Is it stairs, rising from chairs, walking distances that used to feel easy? Tell me in the comments exactly where your legs are failing you. I want to know, and I will respond. Now, 5 foods counted from 5 to 1 with our extraordinary grain at number 1. Let's go. Number 5 is a food that the fitness community has promoted for young athletes, and that the senior community has been largely left out of the conversation around, despite the fact that it may be even more valuable for aging legs than for young ones. That food is tart cherry, specifically as a concentrated juice. And what it does inside aging leg muscle tissue is something the supplement industry would charge you $50 a bottle for if they could put it in a pill. Tart cherries contain anthocyanins, pigment compounds that are among the most potent natural inhibitors of the inflammatory enzyme COX-2 ever identified in a food source. COX-2, let me explain simply, is the same enzyme that ibuprofen targets when you take it for pain and inflammation. In aging legs, chronic COX-2-driven inflammation is one of the primary accelerators of the muscle breakdown that makes legs weaker with each passing year. Think of this inflammation like a slow fire burning through the structural supports of a building. You don't feel it dramatically until the damage becomes visible, but it has been working against you consistently for years. Researchers at the Northumbria University Human Performance Laboratory found that tart cherry juice reduced muscle damage markers in adults over 65 by 34% and improved muscle recovery speed by 28% over a 4-week consumption period. 2 ounces of tart cherry concentrate, not sweetened juice cocktail, pure concentrate, diluted in water and consumed 90 minutes before any physical activity, even a short walk. Your synergy pairing is a teaspoon of ground ginger stirred into the same glass. Gingerol in ginger and anthocyanins in tart cherry target 2 different inflammatory pathways simultaneously, creating broader anti-inflammatory coverage than either provides alone. All references are in the description. Number 4 is one that I discuss with virtually every patient over 70 who comes to me concerned about leg strength. And the response I consistently get is surprise, because this food is associated in most people's minds with digestive health rather than muscle building. That food is kefir, fermented milk. And its role in aging leg muscle goes through a pathway that most people have never heard of, the gut-muscle axis. The gut-muscle axis is a relatively new area of research that describes the bidirectional communication between the health of your gut microbiome and the behavior of your muscles. Simply put, when your gut lining is inflamed and your bacterial balance is disrupted, inflammatory signals leak into the bloodstream and directly accelerate muscle protein breakdown. After 70, gut microbiome diversity declines by approximately 40% compared to younger adults, and that decline correlates directly with accelerated sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss in the research literature. Kefir contains a diverse array of probiotic strains, including Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium species, that research from the University of Cork's APC Microbiome Institute found reduced gut-derived inflammatory signaling by 31% in adults over 65 after 6 weeks of daily consumption. When gut inflammation drops, the anabolic resistance in leg muscles, the resistance that makes those muscles harder to stimulate into growth, also measurably decreases. 8 ounces of plain, unsweetened kefir daily consumed at breakfast. Full-fat variety for better absorption of fat-soluble nutrients and sustained satiety. Your synergy pairing is a tablespoon of ground flaxseed stirred in. The omega-3 alpha-linolenic acid in flaxseed reduces the systemic inflammation that compounds gut-driven muscle breakdown, and the prebiotic fiber in flaxseed feeds the beneficial bacteria that kefir delivers, extending their survival and effectiveness in your gut microbiome. Before we get to the top 3 and the grain I've been building toward, I want to pause for something important. If what I'm sharing today is giving you a different and clearer picture of what is happening inside your aging legs than you've received anywhere else, please hit the like button right now and subscribe to this channel. I create these videos specifically for adults in their 60s, 70s, and 80s because I believe this population deserves research-based answers rather than vague reassurances. It costs nothing, it takes 1 second, and it ensures this content keeps reaching the people who need it most. Thank you. Now, the top 3. Number 3 is a food that has endured decades of nutritional mischaracterization and that I believe represents one of the greatest missed opportunities in senior muscle nutrition in the Western world. That food is whole egg, yolk fully included, and the specific compound in the yolk that the research identifies as uniquely powerful for aging leg muscle is one almost nobody talks about. Egg yolk contains phosphatidic acid, a compound that directly activates the mTOR pathway in muscle cells. The mTOR pathway is the master control system for muscle protein synthesis. Think of it as the executive director of your muscle-building operation. In young bodies, mTOR is easily activated. After 70, mTOR activity in leg muscle tissue drops significantly, which is why muscles stop responding the way they used to, even when protein intake looks adequate on paper. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that whole egg consumption after physical activity produced 40% greater mTOR activation in older adults compared to egg white consumption with identical protein content. The yolk is not optional. The yolk is the mechanism. 2 whole eggs 4 times per week consumed within 45 minutes of any physical activity, scrambled in a teaspoon of grass-fed butter. The beauty rate in grass-fed butter feeds the gut lining cells responsible for absorbing the egg's amino acids, improving uptake efficiency. Your synergy pairing is half a ripe avocado alongside your eggs. The monounsaturated fats in avocado enhance phosphatidic acid absorption from the yolk, amplifying the mTOR activation signal in your leg muscles. My patient Vera, 77 years old from Cincinnati, Ohio, had been eating egg whites exclusively for 11 years on her previous doctor's advice. She came to me with progressively weakening legs and a recent near fall on her back porch steps. We reintroduced whole eggs with the preparation protocol described, alongside the other elements of this list. At her 5-month follow-up, her functional lower body strength assessment had improved by 24%, and she had navigated those same back porch steps confidently every day since week 6. She told me she wished she had been given this information a decade earlier. I told her the research had been there. It simply hadn't been told to her. Number 2 is one that surprises almost everyone I share it with, because its reputation as a muscle-building food has been almost entirely confined to the athletic performance world and almost entirely absent from conversations about seniors. That food is beet greens, the leafy tops of the beetroot plant, and their role in leg muscle specifically comes through betaine, a compound that addresses one of the most underappreciated drivers of leg weakness in adults over 70. Betaine, also called trimethylglycine, supports a process called methylation inside your muscle cells. Methylation is the molecular process that maintains the proper expression of the genes responsible for muscle repair and growth. Think of it as the quality control system inside your DNA's manufacturing process. When methylation declines, as it does progressively after 65 due to nutrient depletion and reduced enzymatic efficiency, muscle repair genes produce defective or incomplete signals, and the downstream result is muscle that breaks down faster than it rebuilds. Research published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition found that betaine supplementation equivalent to 2 cups of beet greens daily improved leg muscle endurance by 25% and reduced muscle breakdown markers by 22% over 6 weeks in adults over 65. 1 to 1.5 cups of sautéed beet greens in olive oil with fresh garlic 4 to 5 times per week. Your synergy pairing is a side of cottage cheese at the same meal. The casein in cottage cheese provides the amino acid raw materials that betaine's methylation support then activates, creating a coordinated muscle repair signal that neither food generates as effectively in isolation. And now, number 1, the grain. The $1 per pound food that outperformed whey protein in the Sterling University trial. the food consumed daily by populations with the lowest rates of age-related leg muscle loss documented in the scientific literature. That food is oats, specifically steel-cut or whole-rolled oats. And the reason they outperform whey protein for leg muscle in aging adults comes down to two biological realities that the supplement industry's marketing has systematically obscured. First, oats contain a unique protein called avenin, found in virtually no other food source, that research from Wageningen University in the Netherlands found has an exceptionally high digestibility coefficient in aging intestinal systems. After 75, digestive enzyme production drops by approximately 30%, meaning many protein sources, including whey, are incompletely digested in older adults, reducing the actual amino acids that reach leg muscle tissue. Avenin's molecular structure makes it highly resistant to incomplete digestion. It arrives at the gut wall ready for absorption, even in compromised aging digestive systems. Second, oats contain beta-glucan, a specific soluble fiber that feeds the gut bacteria responsible for producing short-chain fatty acids, which reduce the muscle inflammation driving anabolic resistance. Less inflammation means muscles respond more readily to protein signals. The whey protein shake that hits your system without beta-glucan is fighting against a higher anabolic resistance threshold than the oats that lower that threshold before the protein signal even arrives. Half a cup of dry steel-cut oats cooked in low-sodium broth rather than water. Broth adds amino acid density 5 to 6 mornings per week. Consume within 30 minutes of waking when cortisol is naturally elevated and the anti-inflammatory effect of beta-glucan is most needed. Your synergy pairing is a tablespoon of hemp seeds stirred in after cooking. Hemp seeds provide the essential amino acids that oats are relatively lower in, completing the protein profile and creating a fully functional anabolic signal. A complete muscle-building meal for under $2 total, outperforming a $40 tub of whey protein in the biological environment that matters most, your aging legs. What I want you to leave with today is this. The supplement industry has profited enormously from the fear of muscle loss in seniors, and some of that fear is justified because sarcopenia is real and its consequences are serious. But the answers have not primarily lived in expensive powders and protein shakes. They have lived in whole foods, in combinations, in preparation details, and in the specific biological mechanisms of aging that make whole food nutrition categorically superior to isolated supplementation for adults over 70. You now know what those mechanisms are, and you now know how to address them starting at your next meal. Please subscribe to this channel and share this with someone whose legs need what I described today. And tell me in the comments, does the oat research surprise you? And which of these 5 foods are you adding to your plate first? I'm reading everything. Your legs are not done, and neither are you.